Hello and welcome to all my Flosstube neighbors. I am Chris and this is XrossStitch, and today is Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023, and this is Flosstube number 65. I'm so happy that you chose to take some time out of your day to spend with me in the neighborhood on the front porch here. Actually, it's not the front porch, but we can pretend it's the front porch. So glad to have you. If you are a new subscriber, welcome. We are a channel about cross-stitching, but there's so much more here at XrossStitch, and I hope that you enjoy this inaugural video. If this is the first time you're watching me, I hope you enjoyed it enough to subscribe and ring the bell and like the video. And if you are a returning neighbor, welcome back. It's good to see you again after the 2 weeks' time. First off, you gotta know I got Invisalign. That's what you see. And I'm doing really well about the talking aspect of it, I think. I don't really hear that it's altered my speech in any way. You might. They are very comfortable. I am sleeping fine in them. But it was time for me to do a little bit of maintenance on the old teeth, and I finally buckled down and decided to do it. I will have these on my teeth until July of next year, so we will be on this journey together, sports fans. And I'm really excited about it. Over the past several years, my teeth have shifted, especially the bottom ones, and it's affecting my bite just a little bit now, so it's time to do something about them. But if you're new here and you just got besieged by a dental hygiene update, not really hygiene, more of a orthodontic update, that's not normal. That's absolutely not normal. I just felt like I needed to tell you right up front, because I know some of you would have been like, what is in his mouth? There's a lot to today. We have an FFO, we have a finish, we have a couple of starts, we have a very special Happy Mail segment with some thank yous to some very sweet individuals. We have story time. I'm going to continue the story of Mother. And but first off, we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually I wave at the neighbors at the very last segment of my Flosstube videos. I'm going to start out at the very beginning of my Flosstube video and wave at our dear neighbor, Colette. Colette, hello, how are you? Colette has been a viewer for a long time, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure you have been. And Colette is in her 90s, and she is still stitching. And I think that's amazing. And it's after she commented on my last video of 2 weeks ago, it made my heart happy. And I wanted to, at the very top of today's episode, say, Colette, thank you. I appreciate you. I am so thrilled to have you as my neighbor, and I'm so thrilled that you are going strong in your 90s and stitching to this day. So much love to you, and you made my heart happy. Thank you. So let's move on to the cross stitching. I have an FFO. For those of you who may be new to the scene, an FFO is a fully finished object, as opposed to just an FO or a finish. An FFO is complete. It's a piece of stitching that has been framed or made into a pillow or a biscogne or a whatever. And I have an FFO that was a birthday gift to my next door neighbor, one of my next door neighbors, actually, a 14-year-old next door neighbor. She turned 14 and she collects rubber duckies. You saw this last week as a finish, or 2 weeks ago as a finish, but now it is an FFO. I framed it myself and here it is. I'm very, very pleased with this. She loved it, I'm happy to say. I did this in a shadow box from Michael's. I went to look for an appropriate frame, and there just wasn't anything there that really tickled my fancy, as Pam says, from Just Keep Stitching. But I saw this shadow box, And I thought to myself, oh, that's a good idea. I can put that in there. And as you know, a shadow box already has a back to it that is actually a piece of fabric covered foam core. And I pinned this. I attached it to the back of that fabric covered foam core. I pinned it all the way around the perimeter with non-rusting, little stainless steel dressmaker pins, the smallest ones, all over, around and around and around until it was thoroughly stretched and finished. And I just love it. I love it. I thought the blue worked beautifully with the blue fabric that was a gift from our neighbor Rebecca. And of a few years ago, she sent me that. And it just turned out beautifully. I just love it. And I posted it on Instagram. Some of you have already seen it and have been so kind and validating my love for it and that it does look good. So don't be afraid to finish your own things. It takes some practice and a little bit of patience, but usually they turn out really, really wonderfully and you have something to be very proud of. I'm very proud of this. I can't wait to see where she puts it in her room. And I'm just thrilled with it. This is a pattern by the Stitch Patterns. They are, you can find them on Etsy. And they also do the very small mini masterpieces that I showed you a few weeks back. But that is Duck. That pattern is just called Duck, by the way. And that's my FFO for the week. Thrilled with it. All this season, as you know, since my return, I have been on an ornament kick. It has been an ovation of ornaments, as coined by my dear friend Sarah of the Flosstube channel, Sew Me Sarah. And during this ovation of ornaments that I have been on, I have decided that next year I'm going to have a Halloween tree because obviously a cross-stitch Christmas tree is not enough. I want a Halloween tree as well. And I've been also on a Satsuma Street saga. See what I did there? Satsuma Street saga. And that continues today, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. But as you know, 2 weeks ago, I showed you Cat O' Lantern, the Satsuma Street ornament that I finished. And this time I have another finish of one of those Satsuma Street Halloween ornaments, Wise Guy. This little cutie, look at him. Isn't he adorable? I love owls, first of all. They're one of my favorite flying creatures. And I don't know why that struck me funny. They're one of my favorite flying creatures. Well, as opposed to bats. I mean, bats are fine. I don't mind bats. I just, don't want them swooping around my head. Well, I don't want an owl swooping around my head either, unless it's a friendly owl. In that case, I wouldn't mind. Anyway, yeah, Wise Guy. This is, of course, a Satsuma Street ornament. There's a whole line of these Halloween ornaments, and I'll be stitching these throughout the year. I'll also be continuing to stitch on Christmas ornaments throughout the upcoming year because holiday stitching, every day is a holiday. Every day's a holiday with Mary. What's that from? I completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'll be stitching on Halloween ornaments and Christmas ornaments all throughout the year. So this will be fun. You'll keep seeing these pop up. And then, of course, next year there will be a big reveal of the Halloween tree and the Christmas cross-stitch tree if I get it done in time. So, or at least the Christmas part, because it's going to be a bigger tree. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Wise Guy, adorable. If you have never stitched on perforated paper, I encourage you to do so. It is very fun. It is very, it's just easy, I think. It's easy and I stitch so fast on perforated paper because I'm not worried about the tension of my stitches pulling the fabric in inordinate ways. So there you go, Wise Guy, Satsuma Street. So now let's take a little break and have a little bit of an interlude. I like to do this now. I'm breaking up the cross stitching to do little interludes of talking. And thank you so much for saying to me that you would show up just for me and not the stitching, because today is going to be more talking and less stitching. And also, full disclosure, I'm recording this on Monday. because tomorrow morning at 6:30, bright and early, I have a colonoscopy. Now, you know I have Crohn's disease. If you are a longtime viewer of this channel, you know that I have Crohn's disease, and I've had it for many, many years, and I'm doing just fine. But tomorrow is one of my routine checkups. And so I have not had solid food all day long today. So if I seem a little bit out of it, it's not because I've been sniffing glue. It's because I haven't had carbohydrates in 8 hours. So bear with me. There we go. But let's talk about the interlude, trick or treat. I have to give you an update on Halloween 2023. I told you how excited I was to finally have trick-or-treaters after 16 years of no trick-or-treaters, more than that actually, of living in Los Angeles. And now that we are in our new lovely home here in lovely New Hampshire, I had trick-or-treaters, and I had a bunch of them. We had probably, I would say probably between 50 and 60, which may not be many, but to me it was a lot after having none. There were two memorable moments of the evening. Well, the whole evening was great because we stayed in the kitchen because we could see our driveway that way. Our driveway goes through trees, and the street that they approach on, you can't see from our home. So we sat in the kitchen so we could see them coming down the driveway. And we had solar lights down the driveway to kind of show them where to go, and everything lit up outside. And there were two stunning moments of the evening. One was the entire 8th grade class of Care Bears. Yes, an entire 8th grade class of Care Bears. Again, my next door neighbor, her class, they all decided to go trick-or-treating together, and they all went as Care Bears, and they were all different. No two were alike. They had coordinated. It was very, very amazing. Let me tell you, they were adorable. The second one that was memorable, there was a little boy. He was not little. He was probably 8 or 10, maybe even 11, but not a teenager. But he was a big enough boy to handle this costume. I looked out the window, and I saw at the end of the driveway a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade balloon. But it was French fries, but it wasn't a balloon. Well, it was a balloon, but he wasn't floating. He was walking. It was one of those blow-up things that they have now that you wear the little thing and it blows and it's made out of that nylon. He was a box of French fries coming down the driveway, and the French fries wiggled. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And his two buddies that he was with were dressed as a hot dog and a piece of pizza. It was great. As soon as they started coming down the drive, I heard that song in my head, "Let's all go to the lobby." You remember that? Yeah, you don't remember that unless you're old. But I remember that. Drive-in movie. Anyway, it was wonderful. I loved every moment of it. We had a ton of candy. I thought I was going to have a lot of candy left over, and I didn't. But enough still to have a few bowls of it still lying around the house, which I can't eat today. But it was great. We loved it. And then, on top of that, last week, we had our first snow of the season. It happened early in the morning, last Wednesday, and it was amazing. Now, those of you who live in snowy climes and who have lived in snowy places for years and years and years are probably tired of it. Indulge me. Just indulge my wonder for a little bit. It was amazing. We only got about, it wasn't much, but it was probably about between 2 and 3 inches. It was on the ground about that much. And it happened over the span of only 3 hours. It snowed hard and a lot. It just poof, and it blanketed everything in white. And it was like a postcard. out my back window was like a postcard. I put those pictures at the beginning of the video today, so you'll see what I saw. Of course, it melted throughout the day, and it was mostly gone by the 2 days later. But even now, I still have there are little pockets here and there where you can still see snow on the ground, because it is very cold where we are now. I think the high today wasn't even in the 40s. We only hit like 37. But I love it. I love every minute of it. And the snow is just amazing. So those were 2 little updates for you that were really kind of joyful for me over the past 2 weeks. I had 2 starts since my last video, and the first is another Satsuma Street piece. This is her winter Jody Rice. This is her winter Sal, her winter stitch along, and this is called Winter Woods. This is being released in 4 parts. It's big. And I, of course, am behind, but I saw this and I thought, that's going to be perfect to stitch to commemorate my first winter here. And I began it on the day of the first snow last Wednesday. And I haven't gotten much done, but there's a lot of stitching in that little segment that you're seeing right now. Jody is famous about doing these borders. They're amazing. They're intricate. Well, they're not even really intricate. It's just there's a lot of them. And so I'm doing, I encountered that border on my Wizard of Oz stitch along of 2 or 3 years ago, and I decided this time I'm going to do it in pieces instead of doing it all at the very beginning. I love it. Jody's use of color is masterful. This is the first time I have stitched with Cosmo floss. One of the reasons actually I'm behind, aside from my own not stitching as much as I should, but I had to wait to get the Cosmo pack. She sold out of them very quickly. So I had to wait a little bit until I got that. And luckily it came before the first snow. I started that. I love it. This is Cosmo floss. I like it just fine. I see no real difference with stitching with that as opposed to DMC. Cosmo is a little more matte to me. DMC has a little bit more of a sheen. This is a little bit more matte, but it stitches just the same, and the colors are vibrant and beautiful. And this is going to be stunning when it's done. Jody does beautiful, beautiful designs, and I just can't wait to see the rest of it and to get more of it to show you. So that's Winter Woods from Satsuma Street, a stitch along in 4 parts. So of course, because it snowed, we can decorate for Christmas, right? Right? I think we can. Well, I didn't totally start, I didn't pull out the trees or anything like that, but I did start putting a little bit of Christmas here and there throughout the Thanksgiving. And I also started another ornament. This is a Mill Hill ornament. This is from their Sleigh Ride series. And this was a gift of a few years back from one of our neighbors from the UK, Gina M. She sent me 2 of these. I think there are 5 total in the series. And this one is Toyland Sleigh. Toyland Sleigh. Again, this is on perforated paper. This is different from the Celtic Santa series in that those Celtic Santas are larger and have fewer beads. This Sleigh Ride series are smaller. The ornaments are smaller and have more beading. But this one is going to be delightful. And here you can see my start on it. This went really quickly. This was only 2 nights worth of stitching, and I'm probably going to finish all the stitching if I just put 1 more night into it. And then we move on to the beading, and there's a lot of it. There's a charm that gets attached to this. There's a bunting of beading, so that you like string like 8 beads and you let it swag, from point to point. But Thank you, Gina. I have two of these, and I'm going to stitch them both up, hopefully to get these on the tree this year as well. But that was my other start. The Toyland Sleigh from Mill Hill, part of the Sleigh Ride Ornament series. I do not know if these are still made. I'd like to have all 5 of them. So I need to get on the Google, and I need to see if that, if I can get the other 3 that I don't have. Toyland Sleigh. It's time for story time with Chris, and I have left you all hanging for a couple of videos now, I believe. Did you see that thing? Looked like the golden snitch, didn't it, from Harry Potter? That was a piece of fuzz that floated off something in this room. But it looked like the golden snitch, so we're going to go with that. Anyway, I've kept you hanging for a couple of weeks now, more than a couple of videos now. And last we left off, in the never-ending saga of Christopher and his mother. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I do encourage you to go back. If you're just joining us, if you're just now tuning in, go back to the beginning of this season and hit the story times to catch up with this. And that's literally all I'm going to say, because if I start launching into what I'm doing, then it's going to take up more time. But last we left off, Mother had decided to move to Birmingham, Alabama, 2 hours away from where I grew up in Northwest Alabama. I have different theories as to why my mother wanted to do this. I think the relationship between her and my grandmother had always been one fraught with a bit of contention, because that's how mothers and daughters are sometimes. And my grandmother was a stern taskmaster, and my mother was more of a free spirit, and they clashed often. Not badly. I mean, it was not an abusive household, but they squabbled. And this was the early 70s, early to mid 70s by this point. And Mother wanted freedom. Mother wanted to be on her own. And she wanted to have to live a life in the city that she'd never lived. The only issue was she had me. And we moved to Birmingham. It was rough for me. I was a shy boy. I was very attached to my family. I was very attached to my friends. School wasn't easy for me, as you might imagine. Not in the sense of the academics. I was a great student. I was a straight A student all through high school, all through school, all the way. But school was difficult, with the other children, because I was, a different little boy. And, but that all kind of got fine, because I started kindergarten with the same people that I graduated with 12 years later. So by, 3rd grade, they'd all gotten used to me. But anyway, I say all that only to kind of set up the fact that Birmingham was a huge adjustment for me on so many levels. It was a huge city compared to Sologent, and Birmingham is not a huge city, but it was a big shift. And I went from being protected and feeling safe and feeling, loved, to a scary city, going to a school where I knew no one, having to walk home from school a long way, on my own. And we did that back then. even in the city. Mother probably shouldn't have, but she did. It was fine. And it wasn't easy. I adapted to it as well as I could. And I was only there for one entire, let's see, it was halfway through. I was there for one school grade, 1.5 school grades, the latter half of third and all of fourth. And I think my grandmother knew that it wasn't easy for me, and I think she missed me and my mother terribly. So what happened was, about 6 to 8 months into that period of time, my grandmother up and came to Birmingham to take care of me. And of course, that defeated Mother's purpose of being on her own and being alone. And in short order, my grandmother and I were sent back to Sulligent. And that was the last time I saw my mother for about 7 years. It was the best thing that could have occurred. Because Birmingham wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy at school. It wasn't easy at home. And I'm not even going to go into all that. But I was rescued by my grandmother. Rescued, that makes it sound like my mother was horrible. She wasn't. She was just living a life that she wanted, but a life that didn't necessarily need to have a child in it. It was not a life that she had orchestrated. With me in it. And I returned home to Sulligent with my grandmother and started school as a new kid. And that had its ups and downs too, and we'll get to that in 2 weeks' time. So that was the blip that was Birmingham. But in that blip of about 1.5 to 2 years' time, you know, a little bit of my childhood was taken away during that phase. But it was a brick in the wall of my character. And here we are. So thanks for listening. We will continue that in 2 weeks' time. Moving on to Happy Mail. This is a special Happy Mail segment because everything is so special. The first thing I have to show you is that when I do giveaways and you send and I send you things, please do not feel obligated to send me a thank you card. But just know that if you do, I will treasure it. And Sherry R., this card, sent me this beautiful card. I hope that you can see it. It has all kinds of stitchy things on it. So sweet. And the message inside, see, that's where I experienced my Invisaligns. I got caught on that word. But Sherry, thank you so much. Such a sweet note. And you know, I have a box and I keep every single card that you guys send me. And this will be in that box from now on. And I take them out from time to time and I enjoy them again. I really do that. So thank you so much. Next, we have, what do I want to show you next? Oh, okay. This is, as I go out of frame, this is from Daisy. And Daisy is one of our neighbors from the Midwest. She told me that she was going to do this. Her sister used to own a cross-stitch shop. And Daisy had a lot of things from the cross-stitch shop. And she wanted to get some of them off her hands. Of course, she said that I can keep these or use them as giveaways and et cetera, et cetera. but they are all kits, like Mill Hill kits and Bent Creek kits and Twisted Threads kits from the 90s and the early 2000s. When I tell you that this is a little bag o' treasure, it is a bag o' treasure. And 2 of the treasures are going to be part of today's giveaways. But Daisy, thank you so much. There are so many things in here that I'm going to keep to put on the tree. But there's a lot in here, and I will be sharing this with all of the neighbors as well. But Daisy, thank you so much for this. I really do appreciate it. Longtime neighbor Melissa C. also warned me that she was going to be sending me something. You know how I said Satsuma Street was a theme today? Well, she sent me this. This is Satsuma Street's gold peace tree. It says joy, hope, peace. Boy, is that something that we need right now. Thank you for this. I do believe that this is going to remain in the XrossStitch archives, and will be decorating my house one day, but thank you so much for that. She also sent me gold, look at that sheen, gold perforated paper. And Melissa, as you know, well, all of you, as you know, one of my favorite designers and one of the sweetest personalities on Flosstube is Judy Whitman of JBW Designs. And I always try to stitch at least one Judy Whitman ornament every single year. I'm going to be doing that as well. I had an idea. Oh, I had an idea. I'm going to find one of Judy's designs and put it on this perforated paper in some manner, this gold. It has to be the right thing, and it has to be done the right way. But I think that this may be the backing for my JBW design ornament for 2023. So thank you for that. I appreciate both of these so much. So much. Thank you. And then lastly, I have to thank, with a huge hug, Amber, another Flosstuber from Rogue Mama Stitcher. Amber, I hope you follow her on Flosstube. Her stitching is among the most impeccable stitching out there. She loves to stitch whimsical things, colorful things with tons of back stitching. But if you don't follow her, go follow her. She's one of my favorite Flosstubers and someone I never miss. She told me that she was sending me a little happy thing, and this all kind of spun out of my love for France and Paris. I'll be returning to Paris this spring. I'm very excited about that. But of course, it came with a beautiful card with birds on it. My cardinals that I have here at my feet are my chickadees. All these birds are just, they're all at my, anyway, beautiful floss drop. These are all from Les Brodeuses Parisiennes, which is an online cross-stitch shop. Beautiful, but she sent 3. The first is a book of different smalls. La grande histoire des piou-piou. Piou-piou. Oh, Mimi Pinchot. She's going to have to help me with this. La grande histoire des piou-piou. The great history of whatever piou-pious are. P-I-O-U-P-I-O-U-S. It's got to be bluebirds. It's got to be bluebirds because these are all bluebirds. Sorry for the reflection. But I love this. Just keeps getting better because in it was also this Torchon Collection de Bols, Série 2 Fleurs Bleues, which is the collection of bowls, Series 2, Blue Flowers. Look. It's my favorite Delft pottery-esque stuff. You want to see how long I can do that? I'm excited about the gift, you can tell. My kitchen is blue. I don't know if she knew that or not, but my kitchen is blue. This is going to be one of my starts in 2024. And I'm going to do 24 starts in 2024 as inspired by Pam of Just Keep Stitching, but we're going to talk more about that next time. This is going to be one of them. And then probably my Christmas start this year is going to be this one, Noël Parisien. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love that one so much. I just love it so much. Amber, Melissa, all of you. I don't deserve this. And I hope that you know, all of you, from the bottom of my heart, how much I appreciate this. Amber, I love this so much, all of these so much, and I honor all of you when I stitch them. I think of you when I stitch the gifts that you have sent me. I truly do. And what's so wonderful is it feels like that you, each of you, all of you, whoever has sent me anything ever, I have imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I deserve it. But I will tell you, the way I frame it is all of my friends are with me. Because when I look around and I see the things that I have stitched that have come from you, I see you in them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to stop now because I'm going to start crying. Moving on to giveaways. I get gifts and I send out gifts, and these are the gifts that I'm sending out to you. We had 4 from last time. I'm going to go through these pretty swiftly, so perk up, pay attention. First, we had the Monster Mash Thread Keep and Floss Drop. This is, sorry for the glare. This was in keeping with our Halloween theme and this is from That's So Kelly. This goes to Linda Ficciatola. Linda is a longtime viewer, longtime neighbor, and Linda, I think you might have won a giveaway way early in the channel's history, and I may have your address, but just in case, send it to me again. Next, we have Autumn Tree. This is from Hello by Liz Matthews. Sorry, I'm trying to talk and try not to glare, and I can't do 2 things at one time. Hello from Liz Matthews. Autumn Tree goes to Kathy McCrea, or McCrea, 7893. Kathy McCrea, 7893. Congratulations, Kathy. We have the Saturday Evening Post Santa. This is a vintage. Isn't it funny how things from our childhood are now vintage? This is a flyer from Stony Creek Collection that features one of Norman Rockwell's Santa sleeping on the job, and the elves are fixing it for him. This goes to Sandy B. Milk Can Stitcher. YouTube is doing their names different now, as you all know, from other Flosstubes and just from being on YouTube. So at Sandy B _ Milk Can Stitcher. Congratulations, Sandy. And lastly, we have beautiful kit from the Primitive Hair, Snow Bees. This comes with fabric and the board and the chart. I don't know that the floss is in there, but this goes to Janelle Daly 9403. Janelle Daly 9403. So all of you, please send me your email address. Send me your mailing address at the email below, crisscrossstitch@gmail.com. 3 S's, X for the cross. And I just kicked the camera. And I will get these out to you very shortly. And we have 4 giveaways for this week as well. Now, 2 of these are from our neighbor Daisy, who sent me that wonderful treasure trove of Mill Hill kits from her sister's store. And 2 of these are from recent neighbors who have sent me lovely things, and I said that I was going to turn around and spread the love back. So the first, this is a tiny, tiny kit. Puffins. This is actually a little card, But this could be made into so many different things, however you want to do them. I'm going to try to get that very close because I'm saving time nowadays by not doing the whole inserting the picture in there. Puffins. Of course, the key word for this is going to be puffins. I love puffins, but I just wanted to share that with you all. So if you want to be considered for this, use the keyword puffins in your comment. Next up, there was a tsunami of these a few weeks ago, and it just warmed my cold heart. This is Silver Creek Samplers Fred's Unifying Question. That's the name of the chart, but on it it says, will you be my neighbor? Will you be my neighbor? Of course, there's a big connection between Mr. Rogers and this channel and all of us together. So if you would like to be considered for this, please use the keyword wool. Wool. As I lean to scroll my screen over here. Is that the keyword I wanted? Yes, wool. Keyword wool. Now we move on to two of these vintage Mill Hill kits. One of these is from 2002. This is the 2002 Christmas Keepsake. Now this comes with, as you can see, it comes with the fibers. It comes obviously with the fabric. The chart is in there. This is a heart and hand kit from 2002. It's Santa Claus with that bell on his hat. It's really adorable. I love this, but well, there are other things in there that you'll see later that I'm going to do. But if you want to be considered for this, please use the keyword keepsake. 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 And the other one is a Bent Creek kit. This is special release Santa Globe. You can see that. Can you see that? This is great. Again, this has the fabric, it has beads, it has the fibers. This is awesome. It was originally $24 years and years ago. But if you want to be considered for this one, use the keyword Santa. Santa. So we've got Santa, keepsake, wool, and puffins. And those will be announced in 2 weeks' time. So that is this week's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it with me. Thank you for your patience getting through my loopiness of not having eaten, the talking through these teeth things, and indulging me in a little more talk and a little less stitching this week. I do appreciate it. But I do enjoy spending time with you. I love your comments so much. They are one of the joys of my 2 weeks, the joys of my life, really. And again, to all those sweet, sweet ladies who sent me those lovely gifts over the past couple of weeks, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I hope all of you have a great 2 weeks ahead. I hope that you get a lot of great stitching time in, and I hope to do the same. And see you again in 2 weeks with some more new things, some more older things, and some more progress. Take care. Have a great couple of weeks ahead. And until then, bye.